Good morning, class ninth. We will be starting with your chapter, A Truly Beautiful Mind. This chapter is about Albert Einstein. The name Albert Einstein need not any kind of introduction, that doesn't need any introduction. We know that he was a great scientist. The title of this chapter, A Truly Beautiful Mind, refers to Albert Einstein. Basically, this is a short biography of his where some of his qualities have been highlighted. Albert's interest in mathematics and physics, and also what kind of human qualities or what kind of humanitarian he was. That is uh, told to us in this chapter. As we know, the title, A Truly Beautiful Mind, makes no wonder that how can a scientist's mind can be so beautiful. It is so because we come across so many aspects of Albert Einstein through this chapter, that he was a very good human being. He advocates world peace. He don't want any kind of violence, and that title refers to him as a truly beautiful mind because it reflects him as a very good human being and a truly beautiful mind. Now let's start with chapter, and I'll be side by side explaining you the difficult words which come across in the chapter, and you will mark them side by side. Obviously, I will be giving you the word meaning list later on, but just now you can understand, and you can mark it in your book while understanding it. Now, Albert Einstein was born on 14th March 1897 in the German city of Ulm without any indication that he was destined for greatness. Now, here, destined refers to fate or a predetermined set of events that is going to happen in future. So, it is told to us through this paragraph that he was born on 14th March 1879, that is his date of birth. The name of the place, the city Ulm in Germany, he was born, and that no one can predict one day that he would become a great scientist. On the contrary, his mother thought Albert was a freak. To her, his head seems too much too large. His mother used to think freak here means a person, a word used for disapproving to talk about a person who is unusual. She considered Einstein as unusual. Why? Because Albert used to behave in a different manner. Uh, the way he talks, that looks abnormal, not like normal people. So that is the reason his mother used to think like that, and even she find that his head is little bit larger than a normal child. At the age of 2.5, Einstein still wasn't talking. That when he finally did learn to speak, he uttered everything twice. Einstein did not know what to do with other children, and his playmates called him Brother Boring. So the youngster played by himself. So at this time, this Albert mother was thinking that he was also not behaving in a normal way, and he was different from other children because the other children behaved in a different manner, and according to her, he behaved abnormally. So they thought that he is less intelligent than other children. When he was 2.5 years old, he was not speaking clearly, he was not able to speak properly. But when he started learning, he was speaking every word twice, he was repeating it. So, and he don't know what to do with other children, he don't know what to do with other playmates. So other children who used to play with him, they called him Brother Boring, because he don't know what to do with other playmates. So this is the reason he only confined to himself. He played with only himself. Nobody else was there with him. So the youngster played by himself much of the time. He especially loved mechanical toys. Looking at his newborn sister, Maja, he was said to have said, "Fine, but where are her wheels?" Now, this being a child, he loved playing with mechanical toys, the toys with some kind of machine. And from the very beginning, his childhood, he played with such mechanical toys. It could be a cars or aeroplanes like that. When Einstein's sister is born, Maja, he thought that she is also a toy, and he was wondering that where is baby's wheels, which means he wanted to say that where are the feet of baby. So most of the time, he used to play with the wheel toys, which are having wheels. So he thought that his sister Maja is also a toy to him, and he imagined that there must be some kind of wheels in her also. A headmaster once told his father that what Einstein chose as a profession wouldn't matter because he'll never make a success at anything. Einstein began learning to play the violin at the age of 6 because his mother wanted him to. He later became a gifted amateur violinist, maintaining this skill throughout his life. Now, the headmaster of Einstein's school told Einstein's father once that he would never become a successful person. He might choose any profession, but he cannot be successful. So, Einstein, what he used to do, he started learning violin when he was very young at the age of 6 because his mother wanted that he should learn to play violin. Later on, he became a amateur violinist. Amateur violinist refers to which is he's not doing this violinist as a profession, but rather he's learning things for his own enjoyment as a hobby. So he maintained this skill throughout his life. He didn't take it as a profession, but he played violin throughout his life. He loved to play it. But Albert Einstein was not a bad pupil. He went to high school in Munich, where Einstein family had moved when he was 15 months old and scored good marks in almost every subject. Einstein hated the school regimentation and often clashed with his teachers. At the age of 15, Einstein felt so stifled that that he left the school for good. Now, being there, then it does not tell us that Albert Einstein was not a good student, but actually, he also went to a school in Munich when his family moved to that place when he was just 15 months old. He used to score good marks in almost every subject, but he hated school. The kind of discipline school used to maintain, regimentation refers to the order and discipline which is there in the school. He don't like that, and generally he has clashes with his teachers. So due to this, he don't want to go to school. He dislikes school, and then at the age of 15, he felt that he's not able to breathe there. In stifled refers to he was feel suffocated there, and for his good he left the school. The previous years, Albert's parents had moved to Milan and left their son with relatives. After prolonged discussion, Einstein got his wish to continue his education in German speaking Switzerland in a city which was more liberal than Munich. Now, the previous year, Albert parents had moved to Milan when he left the school before that 1 year back. His parents had already moved to Milan, and there they left their son with their relatives. And when Albert Einstein left the school 1 year before that, his parents had already moved to the city called Milan, which was in Italy. So he was living with his relatives. Now, after long discussion, he wished to continue his education in German speaking Switzerland. And in this city, he was more liberal than Munich. He considered that this city give freedom to people than Munich. So we find from this part of the uh, chapter explained to us that Albert Einstein love freedom. He don't want to be in a confined environment with strict discipline, but he was a good student. So that's what his opinion is. Einstein was highly gifted in mathematics and interested in physics, and after finishing school he decided to study at university in Zurich. With scientists, science wants the only thing that appealed to the dashing young man with the walrus mustache. Now Einstein was a very gifted in mathematics, means he was very good student in mathematics, that can be said an exceptionally good student, and he also liked subject physics. So when he finished his school, he wanted to study further in the University of Zurich. This is in Switzerland, this place. So it is not only that he was in science, he was interested. This, he was very dashing young man. This describes us that he was a very handsome man as a young man. He was very handsome, and he was having walrus mustaches, long mustaches he used to have. So it is the picture of Einstein is given to you with the walrus mustaches, looking a handsome man. It is in 1900, when he was just the age of 21. Another picture of Einstein in 1950 was, we remember him now, this is as a young man picture, and we remember Einstein as a old scientist, but he was very handsome at his young age. He also felt a special interest in fellow students, Mileva Marek, whom he found to be a clever creature. This young Serb had come to Switzerland because of the university in Zurich was one of the few in Europe where women could get degrees. Einstein saw in her as an ally against the Philistines, those people in the family and at the university with whom he was constantly at odds. The couple fell in love. Letters survive in which they put their affection into words, mixing science with tenderness. Wrote Einstein, "How happy and proud I shall be when we both have brought our work on the relativity to a victorious conclusion." Einstein, like another fellow student whose name was Mileva Marek, and he found that she is very intelligent. And other than maths and physics, he liked her very much. He thought that she is very clever, she's sharp and intelligent. Now, this young girl, she came to Switzerland because this is the only university which used to give uh, degrees to women at that time, and they met in this University of Zurich, and she came from Serbia to Switzerland because she wanted to attain the degree, because we know that this is the only university, very few among the very few universities at that time women were not allowed to get the degrees. This, but this university used to provide degrees to female students, so she was there. And now thought Einstein saw in her an ally against Philistines, means he thought that she is a friend, an associate against the Philistine. These people, those people in his family and at the university with whom he was constantly at odds. With whom constantly at odd means that opposition of something to be against someone. So he felt that he is friend to him because they both have a same kind of interest, and she also like art, literature, music. They had common interest, and having common interest in art, literature and music in those days was considered uh, a very not a very good thing in those days. So they both have the similar kind of people who are interested in arts and literature or music. and to call their opponents Philistine. At that time, people used to call them Philistine. That was a kind of word used for the people who like music. And both Einstein and Mileva, they both like music and art. So, Albert Einstein family and many people in university, they were not in favor of this. So, against such people, Albert Einstein and Believa Marik, they were at a unity, and they both helped each other to face that kind of situation, the where people were against such kind of thing. So, for this is the reason they both came together, and they both fell in love also, and the letters were still there. They also survive refers to that they were still there, in which they have written their affectionate words mixing with signs, which shows their love. And they wanted that they were happy and proud that they are this theory of relativity bring them closer. Even their love letters reflects that they use such kind of letters which were mixed with science and their feelings. They have given the example also, an example of their letter, that when Einstein was talking about his science invention, and he said to Mileva very proudly that one day they would finally conclude the paper in the theory of relativity. So that kind of discussion they even share in their love letters. In 1900, at the age of 21, Albert Einstein was a university graduate and unemployed. He worked as a teaching assistant, gave private lessons, and finally secured a job in 1902 as a technical expert in the patent office in Bern, while he was supported to be in assessing other people's invention. Einstein was actually developing his own ideas in secret. He is said to have joking called his desk drawers at the work the Bureau of Theoretical Physics. Now, in 1900 to 1902, he was working as a technical assistant and give private lessons also. And in the 1902, he got uh, a job where in Bern, which is a city in Germany, and he got the job of technical officer. And in the patent office in Bern, patent office is a office where a patent is a document which gives the right of invention to an inventor. So he was working there, and while he was supposed to assessing the people of others invention, Einstein was also developing his own ideas at that time secretly. So he used to check, he was supposed to check the invention done by other people and give them a patent that yes, their invention, they can do the, he has to give them documents which is going to give them rights about their inventions. But on the other hand, he was secretly making his own inventions. And what he used to say jokingly about himself, that that later that his desk was, which he worked, was office of theoretical physics, the on the, where he was working, because he was working with his inventions there. So he called his desk on which he worked was office of theoretical physics, because there was only he started working on his invention at that desk only. So, one of the famous papers in 1905 was Einstein's special theory of relativity, according to which time and distance are not absolute. Indeed, two perfectly accurate clocks will not continue to show the same time if they come together again after a journey, if one of them has been moving very fast relative to the other. From this followed the world's most famous formula, which described the relationship between mass and energy, and this formula is E is equals to mc squared. This is a mathematical equation where E stands for energy, m stands for mass, and c stands for speed of light in vacuum, which is about 300,000 kilometers per second. So, actually, Einstein is famous for his theory of relativity. And in this theory of relativity, he said that his he has done that formula there, working on that desk. So, in it was the year 1905 when Einstein first published his paper, which is about a special theory of relativity. So, you should know in 1905 this special theory of relativity came, which was published. And this tells us that the measurement of time and distance is not absolute. It also depends on something else. He also explained it with example that whenever two accurate clocks are there and it will not show up continually, they are not going to show the same time when they come together again after a journey, because maybe one of them is moving a little bit fast according to the other one. So according to this theory, this is the example he said, and from this he followed world most famous formula which describes the relationship between mass and energy. And I explained it to you what this formula is. It is energy is equals to mass into speed square, that is the mass or speed of light in the vacuum, c square. So this is the basic formula of physics, and which you need to understand. Science students might be familiar with this formula, theory of relativity, which is given by Einstein. And probably you will be studying this theory of relativity in your higher classes also. To explain this formula in simple words, Einstein said that when you sit with a nice girl for 2 hours, it seems like 2 minutes. On the other hand, when you sit on a hot stove for 2 minutes, it seems like 2 hours. And that is what is relativity. So a person would feel the time differently at different places and different situations. So that is what is this is the way, very simply simplified way, while Einstein was solving the most difficult problems in physics, his private life was disturbing at this time. So, children, we will be ending our first part of the chapter at this page, page number 48. I'll be continuing with the next part of the chapter in your next lecture. Thank you very much. Just read the chapter carefully. Um, Try to understand what kind of discoveries he made. His actually in the this part of the chapter, all his life, it's a biography about his life, where he attained his basic education, when he is born, and how his life's moved on. So that all details are given about Albert Einstein. So go through the chapter and read all the details carefully. Thank you, class. Thank you very much.